Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlyn Coaching, where we help women become confident and thrive after toxic relationships. Do you ever look at women that seem so successful? They're out there speaking, or they're being interviewed, and they look sharp and beautiful and thin, and they seem rich, and they just seem so happy. And you think they have nothing bad going on in their life. I have all this stuff going on in my life, and I'm so stressed, and they're just out there living this great, easy life. Well, I went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and I was blessed to be able to speak. And I met all these amazing women. And on the outsides, as I was judging them before I got to know them, I had all those thoughts that I just said, wow, these people, they're so beautiful and wonderful and successful. Surely they have nothing bad going on in their lives. They're living an easy life. Well, as I talked with them, I found that some of them had terrible things going on in their life, very trauma early on in their life, and medical issues and griefs and things going on right now, but they were overcoming and they were victorious and they were powerful and joyful despite the hard times of their life. That's what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, is how can we overcome when we think that, when we're in the midst of the pain and we think, I can never be happy again, I can never be back to the way I was before. But we want to go beyond that. We want to do the resilience 2.0, where we're coming back bigger and stronger. Hang on, let me share my screen with you. So this is part 3. We're still talking from a speech that I heard, but from Mr. Tal Ben Shahar. I loved his word, unfragile. A lot of these things I've told you before, but I like the way he put it together, and I like that unfragile word. So again, resilience 1.0, when you're in the very depths of the pain and the sadness and the depression, maybe getting back to where you were before is all you can even think about. You don't even think you can get that far. But we want to move beyond that, and we want to actually move into resilience 2.0. Instead of getting back to where we were before, we want to get back bigger and stronger and happier and more powerful. It can be done. I actually am experiencing this right now in my life. I've been at the depths before and thinking I would never come out of it. And now I am on the other side, and I'm experiencing the feelings of, oh, I wouldn't have want this to happen, but I am stronger now and have more character, and I have a testimony, and I can help people. So this is what we want to talk about. This is the third lesson. We talked about post-traumatic stress, and then we talked about post-traumatic growth, and what does it take to have post-traumatic growth. And there's 3 conditions that Mr. Shahar talked about. He talked about, first, you've got to give yourself permission to be human. Go ahead and feel those negative emotions. Just accept them, let them flow through you, and flow on out. If you try to block them or try not to feel them, they stick around. And number 2, we talked about the pandemic before the pandemic, which was stress. And that it's not the stress that's the problem. Stress can actually be good for us if we respond in the right way. It's like our muscles. Remember when we put stress on our muscles and we work out, they end up getting stronger. And we can too if we put some recovery time into our lives. We talked about taking breaks and breathing and exercise. And then now the last condition that we need in order to be able to have this post-traumatic growth, in order for us to flourish and thrive and be better than ever, be anti-fragile, is giving. There's a study that they did. They apparently now can measure levels of happiness. They do it by several different methods. And so they had this group of people, they measured their level of happiness. And for our purposes, we're going to say they started at a 1. They gave them some money. They said, go out and buy stuff for yourself. So they went shopping, they came back, they measured their level of happiness, and no surprise, it went up significantly. This little chart I made, we're going to say a 10, went up to a 10. And so that would make you think, yeah, that Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City is right when she said that buying shoes makes you happy. The next day, they came back and they measured their level of happiness again. Their level of happiness had gone back all the way back to the bottom, to the way it was the day before. They went all the way back down to a 1. So, what does this mean? Does this mean you got to go shopping for shoes every day? Well, there might be another solution. They did another group of people. They had these people come in, they measured their level of happiness. We're going to give them the same one for our purposes and say they're at a 1. They give them money and they say, go out and buy gifts for other people, not for yourself, for other people. Same amount of money. They go out, buy gifts, they give them to their family, their friends, maybe strangers, who knows. They just give them out. They come back, they measure their level of happiness, and it's just the same as for the people who did the retail therapy. It's all the way up to a 10. So buying and giving seems to do as much as buying for yourself. But the next day, they came back, measured it again, and their level of happiness decreased minimally. So the people who bought for themselves, the second day, their happiness is all the way back down. But the people who gave to others, it's just a little bit of a decrease. And in fact, their happiness level stayed fairly high for a whole week. It didn't even diminish hardly at all for a whole week. So what does this mean? This means that giving is receiving. When you give to others, you receive back. It's a win-win for everyone involved. There are many different ways that you can give. You can give to charity, you can give money, you can give time, you can give listening. People pay a lot of money to be listened to. And so many people are not listened to, they're not heard. When you can give someone a few minutes where you're focusing on them, listening and hearing them and validating that the things that they're saying are not weird, they're not strange, they're not abnormal, that is a gift that you are giving them, and you will benefit also from giving them that gift. Another thing you can give is kindness. You can always give kindness. Another little study that they did, they had people give 5 extra acts of kindness a day, and it made a dramatic difference in their levels of happiness. Anne Frank said you can always give something, even if it's only kindness. Now here's an interesting thing. The Hebrew word for give is called Natan. Like the male name Nathan comes from this word, Natan, and it is what we call a palindrome. It reads the same from left to right, forwards and backwards, whichever way you read it, it reads the same thing. That's like giving. If you give, you receive. If you give, you receive. When you allow someone to give to you, you receive, they receive. It's just like the name. I think that is so cool. When we give to others, we receive. There's one more little study. This is by the man who wrote the book Give and Take. His name is Adam Grant. And he said there's 3 different kinds of people. First, you got your givers. These are the people I'm going to give to you no matter what. I'm always thinking about you, caring about you. I'm going to give to other people. Then you got your takers. It's all about me. Whatever I'm doing in a day is going to be, how do I make myself happy? How can you make me happy? It's all about me, all about taking. And then you got your matchers. So a matcher is going to say, well, I'll give to you if you're going to give back. I'm going to give, you're going to give back. If you don't give me back something, then I'm going to quit doing it. So you're not getting something for nothing. I'll do 50, you do 50, whatever, but it's got to be a quid pro quo there. So they did a study. They wanted to see who were their top workers, who had the top performance at this company. Not surprising, at the top were the givers. They worked the hardest. They cared about the company. They cared about their workers. They just they gave, and that was not a surprise. At the middle, they had their takers, and they had their matchers, people that they have to have some back in order to give. But the interesting thing was at the bottom. Who do you think was at the bottom? givers. How can that be? The givers are at the top and the givers are at the bottom. And what they found out was the givers at the top also gave to themselves. So if their coworker said, hey, can you help me with this? They'll say, yes, I would love to, but let me have a few minutes. I got to clear off my desk. I got to finish this thing I'm doing right now. Or when your child comes and says, hey, mom, can you help me do this, blah, blah, blah. Yes, darling, I would love to. I'm exercising right now. Let me get through exercising, and then I will come help you. So the people at the top were people who gave to others, but also took care of themselves. The people at the bottom were those who only gave to others at the detriment of themselves. They did not take care of themselves also, and so they ended up at the bottom. Again, very interesting. As we've talked about our levels of energy, we've talked about if we say level 4 is a giver. If you're only giving, you're never taking care of yourself, you end up at a level 1 or 2, which is 1 is feeling sorry for yourself and 2 feeling angry. And that's what happens. You get resentments if you don't also take care of yourself. So to sum it all up, the conditions that you have to have in order to have post-traumatic growth, you've got to give yourself permission to be human. You've got to handle your stress, give yourself different ways to recover from the stress, and give to others. If you do these 3 things, you can move into resilience 2.0 and become anti-fragile. If you would like some help with this, I would be happy to talk with you. There are links in the show notes where you can schedule a free coaching session. We can talk to see whether the coaching relationship would be a good thing. You can also watch my videos on my YouTube channel. That link is also in the show notes. Or you can check out my new website at KimberlinCoaching.com if you want to find out more about me and whether you will be interested in hiring me as a coach. Meanwhile, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you move out of your stress and out of your pain and into the wonderful feelings of Resilience 2.0. Have a great week.